Jump into an exciting underwater adventure with our amazing shark stories. Dive into a place where meeting these cool sharks is thrilling, and the ocean is full of wonders. Feel the rush and amazement of swimming with sharks in stories that will grab your attention. Join us in this memorable journey deep in the sea, where every story is full of fun and magic, sure to keep you hooked. In the serene waters of the Great Barrier Reef, Emily Harris and her brother, Michael Harris, embarked on a peaceful fishing trip under the golden Australian sun. The year was 2021, and the siblings had rented a modest boat for a day of tranquility and bonding. They had chosen a secluded spot known among locals for its rich marine life, but untold by any map, far from the bustling tourist trails and closer to nature's untouched beauty. Emily, a schoolteacher from Sydney with a passion for marine biology, was thrilled at the chance to combine her love for teaching and the sea. An amateur photographer, Michael, was equally excited to capture the stunning landscape and vibrant underwater world. The reef, with its myriad colors and bustling aquatic life, was the perfect backdrop for their adventure. As they settled into their spots, the gentle lap of waves against the hull and the distant calls of seabirds set a calm rhythm. Emily baited her line with practiced ease, casting it into the clear azure waters, while Michael adjusted his camera settings, eager to document their expedition. The morning passed with the siblings sharing stories and laughs, occasionally reeling in small catches, which they released after admiring the beauty of each fish. The sun climbed higher, painting the sky in brilliant hues of blue, and the water around them sparkled like a sea of diamonds. But as the day wore on, the tranquility of their outing was shattered by an unexpected visitor. A shadow loomed beneath the surface, growing more ominous as it approached their boat. Emily's line tensed suddenly, and she braced herself, thinking she had snagged a significant catch. However, the reality was far more startling. Without warning, a massive shark, its mottled gray skin and scars witnessing its battles, breached the water's surface. Its powerful body slammed onto the deck with a thunderous crash, its jaws snapping ferociously. The siblings froze in terror, the shark's dark eyes locking onto theirs, a primal fear gripping their hearts. Emily's mind raced. She knew they were in a precarious position. The boat, barely sturdy enough for their leisurely fishing, now rocked violently under the shark's weight. She glanced at Michael, his face pale, his camera forgotten at his side. Emily formulated a plan based on her knowledge of marine life and a sudden surge of adrenaline. She remembered reading about sharks' sensitivity to touch in certain areas and their reliance on the element of surprise. She shouted to Michael, instructing him to distract the shark with his camera flash while she searched for something to defend themselves with. The confined space of the boat became a battleground. Michael, recovering from his initial shock, began flashing his camera at the shark, its eyes recoiling with each burst of light. Armed with a sturdy fishing rod, Emily aimed for the shark's gills, knowing it was a vulnerable spot. Their struggle was intense, a dance of survival where every move could be their last. The shark thrashed violently, its tail smashing against the boat's sides, threatening to capsize them. Emily and Michael worked in tandem, their fear mixed with a fierce determination to protect each other. As the sun descended toward the horizon, casting long shadows over the water, the siblings found themselves in a precarious stalemate with the beast. With each passing moment, their situation grew more desperate. The shark's relentless energy contrasted with their waning strength. The struggle between Emily, Michael, and the shark intensified as the sun lowered, casting an orange glow over the water. The small boat's once peaceful deck was now chaotic, with fishing gear strewn about and the shark's powerful movements threatening to send them all into the water. Her resolve hardening, Emily knew they couldn't maintain this standoff much longer. Her mind raced for a solution, recalling every knowledge she had about sharks. She remembered a documentary she'd watched, detailing how some sharks, when flipped onto their backs, enter a state of tonic immobility, a temporary paralysis. It was a long shot, but it was their only chance. She shared her plan with Michael in hushed, urgent tones, aware that their window of opportunity was shrinking with the fading light. Michael nodded, understanding the risks but trusting his sister's judgment. They decided that Emily would continue to fend off the shark with the fishing rod, aiming to disorient it, while Michael would use a spare oar to leverage the shark, attempting to flip it over. Sensing their movements, the shark became more aggressive, its tail slamming against the boat with enough force to crack the wooden planks. Water began to seep in, adding another layer of danger to their dire situation. Emily and Michael exchanged a look, understanding the stakes had just risen. Their survival now depended not only on subduing the shark, but also on keeping the boat afloat. In desperation and courage, Emily jabbed the fishing rod towards the shark's gills again, causing it to reel back. Seizing the moment, Michael positioned the oar under the shark's massive body, pushing with all his might. The shark, caught off guard by the unexpected maneuver, flipped onto its back. For a brief moment it lay still, its underbelly exposed to the fading light, its eyes glazed over in tonic immobility. The siblings didn't waste a second. Michael quickly secured the oar to ensure the shark remained in place, while Emily grabbed a bucket to start bailing out the water flooding their boat. Their actions were swift and synchronized, born of a lifetime of camaraderie and mutual understanding. As the last rays of the sun vanished below the horizon, the shark began to stir, its immobility wearing off. But by then, Emily and Michael had managed to stabilize the boat and were ready to escape. They carefully navigated around the still disoriented shark, using their remaining oars to propel the boat towards safety. The journey back to shore was tense, with both siblings keeping a vigilant watch over the water. The experience had changed them, the close encounter with the shark leaving a mark on their psyche. They spoke little, each lost in their thoughts, the gravity of their situation sinking in. As they finally reached the safety of the shore under the cover of night, they looked back at the water, the moon reflecting off its surface. The shark was nowhere to be seen, having disappeared into the depths of the Great Barrier Reef. The siblings shared a relieved embrace, thankful for their escape but forever altered by the ordeal. While terrifying, their harrowing experience brought them closer together, forging a stronger bond than ever. They returned to their lives, Emily to her teaching and Michael to his photography. But the memories of that day remained, a reminder of their survival and the incredible story they had lived to tell. Lucas Bennett embarked on a night diving adventure in the warm tropical waters off the coast of Hawaii, USA. It was the summer of 2023, and Lucas, a university student majoring in marine biology, was on a research trip. His objective was to study the nocturnal behavior of marine life around the coral reefs, a task that filled him with both excitement and a hint of apprehension. Lucas had always been fascinated by the ocean, its vast mysteries and colorful inhabitants captivating his imagination since he was a child. This dive was not just another academic endeavor but a personal challenge, a step closer to understanding the depths that had always been called to him. Equipped with his diving gear and a waterproof flashlight, Lucas slipped into the calm, moonlit sea from the small boat he had rented. His friend and fellow researcher, Zoe Carter, stayed on board, monitoring his progress and ready to assist if needed. The plan was simple. Lucas would explore the reef close to their anchored position, documenting his findings with a waterproof camera. As Lucas descended into the underwater world, the vibrant colors of the coral reef came alive under the beam of his flashlight. Fish of various shapes and sizes darted in and out of the coral, their scales reflecting the light in mesmerizing patterns. Lucas felt a surge of awe and respect for the delicate ecosystem surrounding him. He moved carefully, mindful of his every breath and the gentle sway of the water. His heart raced with excitement as he spotted a rare species of octopus, its tentacles gracefully moving along the seafloor. Capturing this moment with his camera, Lucas knew this dive would provide invaluable data for his research. However, the tranquility of the dive took a sudden, terrifying turn. A swift and silent shadow emerged from the depths, catching Lucas off guard. It was a shark, its sleek form cutting through the water with incredible speed. Lucas's initial fascination quickly turned to fear as the shark circled closer, its eyes reflecting a primal hunger. Watching from the boat, Zoe grew concerned as Lucas's light flickered erratically. She called out to him through their communication device, her voice laced with urgency. Lucas responded, his voice trembling, informing her of the shark's presence. The situation escalated rapidly. Lucas attempted to remain calm, recalling his training on how to deal with shark encounters. He knew sudden movements could provoke an attack, so he tried to keep still, his flashlight aimed at the shark, hoping to deter it with the light. Back on the boat, Zoe realized the gravity of the situation. She knew she had to act fast. She quickly radioed for help, providing their coordinates and explaining the emergency. Meanwhile, she prepared the rescue equipment, her mind racing with worry for her friend below. As Lucas floated in the water, the shark's movements became more aggressive, its sleek body brushing against him in a terrifying dance of predator and prey. Lucas's heart pounded in his chest, his breaths quick and shallow. He knew he was in a fight for his life, the dark waters around him suddenly feeling like a vast, inescapable prison. As the tension beneath the Hawaiian night sky escalated, Lucas Bennett found himself in a dire struggle for survival. Undeterred by his attempts to keep calm and still, the shark launched a sudden, aggressive attack. In a flash of movement, Lucas felt a sharp pain in his leg, a stark reminder of his real danger in the depths. The injury, though not life-threatening, was severe enough to hamper his ability to swim and increase the urgency of the situation manifold. Above the surface, Zoe Carter was in a state of near panic. The distress call she had sent out was a beacon of hope, but her friend's chances seemed to dim with each passing second. She paced the small boat's deck, straining her eyes in the darkness for any sign of Lucas or the rescue team. The only sounds were the gentle lap of the waves against the hull and her ragged breaths. Back underwater, Lucas knew he had to make a decision. With his leg injured and the shark still nearby, waiting passively was no longer an option. Using his remaining strength and trying to ignore the throbbing pain, he began a slow, deliberate ascent to the surface. Each movement was calculated to avoid attracting further attention from the shark, but the ascent felt agonizingly slow. Meanwhile, the rescue team, alerted by Zoe's call, was on its way. The local Coast Guard, experienced in handling such emergencies, navigated their vessel through the night waters with practiced ease. Their boat was equipped with powerful searchlights, cutting through the darkness in search of Lucas and Zoe. Zoe's relief was palpable when the searchlight beam finally swept over their boat. She waved frantically, guiding the rescue team to their location. The team worked quickly, deploying divers into the water to assist Lucas and keep the shark at bay. Lucas, now just below the surface, could see the lights from the rescue boat and felt a surge of hope. The divers reached him swiftly, assessed his condition, and provided immediate first aid for his injury. With their support, Lucas was carefully lifted onto a stretcher and brought aboard the rescue boat. The return to shore was a blur of activity. Lucas, lying on the deck, his leg bandaged, felt relief and disbelief. Zoe stayed by his side, her presence comforting in the chaos. The Coast Guard provided them with blankets and warm drinks, trying to ease the shock of their ordeal. Once on land, Lucas was taken to a local hospital for treatment. His injury, while painful, was not as severe as initially feared. He would recover, but the experience had left an indelible mark on him. The attack, the fear, and the rescue would remain vivid memories, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of the sea. As Lucas recuperated, he often found himself gazing out at the ocean, its vastness holding a new meaning. The experience had not dampened his love for marine biology, but it had taught him a profound respect for the power and unpredictability of the natural world. The Hawaiian night dive was a chapter in his life he would never forget, a story of survival under the stars. On a sunny morning on Reunion Island, France, a group of enthusiastic volunteers gathered on the picturesque beach of St. Paul. Among them was Sophie Laurent, a spirited environmental science student from the University of La Réunion. The event was a community-led beach cleanup organized to combat the increasing problem of marine debris affecting the island's stunning coastlines. Sophie, with her long, sun-streaked hair tied back and a determined look in her eyes, was passionate about marine conservation. She had always felt a deep connection to the ocean and was eager to make a tangible difference. Clad in shorts and a t-shirt with sturdy gloves to protect her hands, she listened intently as the coordinator outlined the day's activities. Armed with bags and trash pickers, the volunteers spread out along the shore, their spirits high as they set their tasks. Draft to the water's edge, Sophie began collecting plastic bottles, discarded fishing nets, and other debris washed ashore. The gentle lap of the waves against her ankles and the occasional call of a seabird overhead made the work feel less like a chore and more like a labor of love. As the morning progressed, Sophie moved into the shallows to retrieve a tangle of plastic that seemed to be partially submerged. The clear waters of Reunion Island, usually so inviting, hid an unexpected danger that day. Without warning, a sharp pain erupted in Sophie's ankle. sending a jolt of fear through her. Startled, she stumbled backward, glancing down to see a small shark swimming away, its silhouette disappearing into the deeper water. Though not deep, the bite was bleeding profusely, marring the clear water around her with dark, spreading clouds. Sophie's heart raced as she called out for help, the shock of the attack setting in. The other volunteers, hearing her cries, rushed to her side, their expressions turning from concern to alarm at the sight of her injury. The beach cleanup ended abruptly as the volunteers rallied around Sophie. One of them, a trained first aider, quickly administered primary treatment, applying pressure to the wound to stem the bleeding. The coordinator, realizing the gravity of the situation, dialed the emergency services, urging them to hurry. As Sophie sat on the sand, surrounded by worried faces, the initial shock gave way to a throbbing pain in her ankle. The community's concern was palpable, their cleanup efforts forgotten in the face of the unfolding emergency. The pristine beach, moments ago a scene of collaborative effort and environmental stewardship, had become the backdrop for a stark reminder of the ocean's unpredictable nature. As the minutes ticked by, the serene beach of St. Paul on Reunion Island transformed into a hub of activity. The distant sound of sirens grew louder, signaling the approach of the emergency medical team. The volunteers formed a makeshift pathway to ease their access to Sophie, who sat quietly, trying to mask the pain with a brave smile. The medical team sprang into action upon arrival, their efficiency a comforting presence amidst the tense atmosphere. They assessed Sophie's injury with professional calm, cleaning the wound and ensuring no severe damage had been done. The bite, though frightening, was fortunately superficial, requiring only stitches and not surgery. The beach cleanup coordinator gathered the volunteers as Sophie was being tended to. The day's events had taken an unexpected turn, and it was clear that the cleanup would have to be postponed. The safety of the participants was paramount, and the shark encounter had raised concerns that needed to be addressed before they could continue their work. The incident sparked a flurry of discussions within the community. Local authorities and marine biologists from the University of La Reunion began investigating the shark's presence in such shallow waters, a rare occurrence that caught everyone off guard. The following community meetings focused on enhancing beach safety and balancing the need for environmental conservation with protecting those who volunteered their time. Sophie's story quickly spread, her bravery and commitment to the cause earning her admiration and respect. Interviews with local media highlighted volunteers' risks and the urgent need for action against marine pollution, indirectly contributing to such wildlife encounters. In the following weeks, Sophie's recovery symbolized the community's resilience. Her experience had not dampened her spirit but strengthened her resolve to advocate for the ocean's protection. She became more involved in educational programs, sharing her story to raise awareness about the importance of safe and responsible conservation efforts. The beach cleanup event was rescheduled with increased safety measures and a renewed sense of purpose. The volunteers returned, their numbers bolstered by Sophie's story, ready to continue their work with a deeper understanding of the ocean's complexities. The incident at St. Paul Beach, while alarming, had brought the community closer together, fostering a collective determination to protect their cherished coastal environment. Once a volunteer, Sophie had become a beacon of inspiration, her encounter with the shark a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between human activity and the natural world. As the story concludes, the beaches of Reunion Island remain a place of breathtaking beauty and vibrant life, a testament to the resilience of its people and its marine inhabitants. The community's commitment to conservation, strengthened by their challenges, ensures that the island's shores remain a haven for all who cherish the ocean and its wonders. In the vibrant city of Cancun, Mexico, known for its crystal-clear waters and thrilling water sports, Ethan Turner, a young and adventurous tourist from Canada, was excited to try parasailing for the first time. The warm, sunny day with a clear blue sky provided the perfect conditions for an unforgettable experience over the Caribbean Sea. Ethan, with his characteristic enthusiasm, listened intently to the safety briefing from the parasailing instructor Carlos. Carlos, a seasoned expert with years of experience, explained the do's and don'ts, ensuring Ethan felt comfortable and secure with the harness and equipment. With a reassuring pat on the back, Carlos signaled the boat captain to start the engine, and soon Ethan was soaring into the air, his parasail billowing brightly against the backdrop of the sun. From his aerial vantage point, Ethan was mesmerized by the panoramic views of Cancun's coastline, the white sandy beaches blending seamlessly into the turquoise waters. The thrill of floating high above, with the wind in his face and the gentle tug of the parasail, was exhilarating. Below him, the water was a tapestry of blues and greens, teeming with life. As Ethan enjoyed his flight, the boat maneuvered through the water, guided by Carlos's experienced hands. The laughter and cheers from other tourists on the boat reached Ethan, adding to the moment's joy. Everything was perfect, an adventure Ethan had dreamed of, a story he couldn't wait to share. However, as the boat took a wide turn, an unexpected gust of wind caught Ethan's parasail, causing a sudden jolt in the line. Ethan's heart raced as he felt himself dropping closer to the water's surface. Carlos and the boat captain worked quickly to stabilize the situation, but before they could regain control, Ethan found himself skimming the water. The touch of the cool water was initially a thrill, an unexpected part of the adventure, until a shadow beneath the surface caught Ethan's eye. A giant shark, attracted by the commotion and the unusual presence in its territory, approached with a speed and precision that belied its size. Panic set in as Ethan realized the danger he was in. The serene beauty of the Caribbean Sea had turned into a suspense scene. Carlos shouted instructions from the boat, trying to reassure Ethan and guide him on what to do. But the fear and the wind made it hard to hear. As the shark drew closer, Ethan's mind raced for solutions. He tried to lift his legs to make himself less accessible, but the dip and sway of the parasail made it difficult to control his movements. The boat crew, realizing the gravity of the situation, frantically worked to reel Ethan in. But the process was slow, and every second felt like an eternity. The tension in the air was palpable as Carlos and the boat crew worked with desperate urgency, their efforts focused on pulling Ethan back to safety. The winch whirred loudly, slowly retracting the line. But the shark, a dark silhouette against the sunlit water, continued its ominous circling, its dorsal fin cutting through the surface like a blade. Suspended between sky and sea, Ethan felt a surge of fear, unlike anything he'd ever experienced. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing the ticking of an unseen clock. Below, the shark's movements became more deliberate, as if it was biding its time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. On the boat, the atmosphere was frantic. Carlos shouted encouragement, trying to keep Ethan calm, while the captain pushed the engine to its limit, attempting to create distance between Ethan and the shark. The other tourists, once excited spectators, now watched in stunned silence, their cheers replaced by hushed prayers. As the winch continued its slow work, Ethan dipped closer to the water with each sway of the parasail. The cool spray of the sea brushed against his skin, starkly contrasting the heat of his fear. He knew he had to keep his legs up to make himself as small a target as possible, but fatigue was setting in, making every movement a struggle. Sensing the vulnerability above, the shark made a sudden, swift approach, its sleek body cutting through the water with terrifying speed. Seeing the shark's advance, Ethan braced himself, his mind racing with images of what might come next. But fate intervened in those critical seconds. Just as the shark neared, a wave, more significant than the rest, rose, momentarily blocking its path and disrupting its trajectory. The unexpected barrier gave the boat crew the precious time they needed. With a final Herculean effort, they managed to hoist Ethan out of the shark's reach, pulling him back towards the boat at a pace that defied their earlier struggles. Ethan's relief was overwhelming as he felt himself rising away from the water. His breaths came in ragged gasps, a mixture of fear and gratitude filling his chest as he was finally brought aboard. The crew and his fellow tourists erupted into spontaneous applause, their relief as palpable as his own. Back on the boat, with solid ground beneath his feet, Ethan collapsed into the arms of Carlos, who clapped him on the back with a mixture of relief and caution. The captain steered them back to shore, the boat cutting through the water with a newfound urgency, eager to leave the site of the near disaster behind. The incident became the talk of Cancun, a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of adventure sports and the ever-present dangers that lurked beneath the waves. Ethan's story, with its dramatic arc from exhilaration to terror and back to safety, was shared far and wide, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the quick thinking of those who had come to his rescue. As Ethan reflected on his experience, the adrenaline of the moment gave way to a deeper appreciation for life's fragility and the unexpected challenges it presented. His brush with danger in the tropical waters of Cancun would stay with him forever, a narrative of survival that he would carry into every future adventure. A reminder that the line between thrill and threat was as thin as the parasail that had taken him into the sky. In the chilly waters of Gansbai, South Africa, known as the Great White Shark Capital of the world, Dr. Anna Richardson prepared for a day that would mark a significant milestone in her career as a marine biologist. Her focus was on the intricate behavior patterns of great white sharks, and today's dive was to observe them up close to the safety of a shark cage. With keen eyes and a spirit undeterred by the dangers of the deep, Anna had spent years studying these majestic predators. Her work aimed to debunk myths surrounding sharks and to promote their conservation. The dive operation she joined was renowned for its commitment to safety and respect for marine life, making it the perfect partner for her research. As the boat reached the dive site, the crew began their preparations, lowering the sturdy cage into the water. Clad in her wetsuit and equipped with underwater cameras and sensors, Anna reviewed her checklist one last time. Her heart raced with anticipation from the prospect of coming face-to-face with the sharks and the opportunity to contribute valuable insights to marine science. The crew briefed her on the safety protocols, emphasizing the strength and reliability of the cage. The cage bars were made from high-grade steel, designed to withstand a great white shark's powerful jaws and brute strength. Anna nodded, her confidence bolstered by the crew's professionalism and the robustness of the cage. As the cage was secured, Anna descended into the water, the cold ocean enveloping her. Below, the underwater world was a murky expanse, visibility limited but sufficient for her purposes. She could make out the shadows of the marine life that called these waters home, and her anticipation grew. The first few minutes were calm, the only sounds being her breathing and the distant hum of the boat's engine. Anna's eyes adjusted to the dim light, and she began to observe the smaller fish that darted curiously around the cage. Suddenly, a shadow loomed in the distance, its size and shape unmistakable. A great white shark, its mottled gray skin, approached with a grace that belied its fearsome reputation. Anna's breath caught in her throat as she reached for her camera, her hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The shark circled the cage, its eyes seemingly fixated on Anna. She remained still, capturing every detail, from the gills pulsing with each movement to the scars that adorned its skin, each a silent testament to its life in the ocean's depths. As she focused on her work, another shadow appeared, larger and more menacing than the first. This shark, drawn by the commotion or perhaps by curiosity, moved with a purpose that sent a chill down Anna's spine. As the second great white shark approached, its size became more apparent, dwarfing the first shark that had initially captured Anna's attention. Its movements were deliberate, each flick of its tail propelling it closer to the cage with an unsettling focus. Anna's heart raced, her previous excitement tinged with a hint of apprehension. She steadied her camera, determined to document every moment, even as the situation grew tense. The shark circled the cage, its massive body casting shadows that danced across the steel bars in Anna's face. It seemed to be studying her, its dark eyes peering into the cage with a curious intelligence. Anna, a seasoned marine biologist, knew that sharks were often more curious than aggressive, but the proximity of this apex predator tested her resolve. The shark accelerated without warning, its powerful body slammed against the cage. The impact was jarring, sending a shockwave through the structure. Anna stumbled but kept her footing, her hands gripping the bars tightly. The cage groaned under the strain, the sound of metal bending a stark reminder of the power these creatures possessed. The crew above, alerted by the commotion, sprang into action. Shouts echoed down to Anna, their urgent tones muffled by the water. The winch whirred to life, slowly raising the cage, but the undeterred shark struck again. This time, one of the bars bent inward, creating a gap that sent a surge of panic through Anna's veins. She pressed herself against the far side of the cage, her mind racing for solutions. The shark's aggressive behavior was unlike anything she had encountered in her research. It was a stark reminder of the unpredictability of the natural world. even for those who devoted their lives to understanding it. As the cage continued its ascent, Anna's fear was replaced by adrenaline. She realized that her experience, terrifying as it was, offered invaluable insight into shark behavior. Her camera, still in her hands, captured every second, the footage a testament to the raw power of nature. With mere inches to spare, the cage broke the surface, the crew pulling Anna to the boat's safety. Her relief was palpable, her breathing heavy as she recounted the encounter. The crew listened in awe, their expressions a mix of relief and disbelief. Back on shore, Anna's story spread quickly, her footage captivating everyone from fellow scientists to casual observers. It sparked discussions about shark conservation, the ethics of cage diving, and the need to respect the boundaries between humans and wildlife. Anna's encounter became a pivotal moment in her career. It reinforced her commitment to marine conservation, her respect for the creatures she studied deepening in a way she had never anticipated. While harrowing, the attack underscored the importance of coexisting with nature, acknowledging its beauty and dangers. As she shared her experience with the world, Anna's respect for the great whites of Gansbai and all marine life became a central theme in her work. Her story was a powerful reminder of the ocean's mysteries, the need for continued research, and the importance of protecting these magnificent creatures and their habitat for future generations. In the pristine waters surrounding the Mentawai Islands, Indonesia, a group of friends embarked on a surfing adventure that promised the thrill of riding the unspoiled waves of this secluded paradise. Among them was Jake Thompson, a seasoned surfer with a relentless passion for the sea and its untamed beauty. The Mentawai Islands, known for their crystal-clear waters, lush tropical landscapes, and some of the world's most consistent waves, were the perfect backdrop for their expedition. The group, filled with excitement and anticipation, set up camp on one of the smaller islands, a spot renowned among surfers for its perfect breaks but far removed from the bustling tourist trails. With his sun-bleached hair and a deep tan, Jake was the first to paddle out into the water, his board cutting smoothly through the waves. His friends watched from the shore, cheering and laughter carrying over the sound of the crashing surf. For Jake, surfing was more than a sport. It was a communion with nature, a dance on the edge of the world. As the day progressed, the group took turns challenging the waves, their skills on full display against the stunning backdrop of the island. The sun hung high in a cloudless sky, its rays reflecting off the water, turning it into a shimmering expanse of blue and green. However, as the afternoon gave way to evening, the mood shifted. Intending to catch one last ride before the day ended, Jake paddled beyond the reef, where the waves broke with more power and intensity. His friends, busy packing up their gear, paid little attention, confident in Jake's abilities. But nature, in its beauty, holds a power that can turn instantly. As Jake waited for the perfect wave, a dark shape emerged from the depths, its movement swift and purposeful. A shark, drawn by the activity in the water, had ventured closer to the surf. The attack, when it came, was swift and brutal. Jake felt a sudden sharp pain in his leg, a force that pulled him under, away from the safety of his board. The shock of the cold water and the realization of what was happening sent a surge of adrenaline through his body. He fought to break free, his mind racing with thoughts of his friends, family, and the life he cherished. On the shore, his friends, now aware of the struggle in the water, sprang into action. Panic set in as they realized the gravity of the situation. Their friend and companion were caught in a life-threatening ordeal with no immediate help in sight. As the golden hues of the setting sun bathed the Mentawai Islands in a soft light, the serenity of the evening stood in stark contrast to the chaos unfolding in the water. Jake's friends, realizing the severity of his situation, scrambled to launch a rescue effort from the shore. Max, the quickest thinker among them, grabbed a couple of surfboards, urging the others to follow him into the water, forming an impromptu rescue team. The ocean, their playground just hours before, now seemed like an immense, unpredictable adversary. As they paddled out, the sight that greeted them intensified their fear. Jake, pale and weakened from the struggle, was clinging to his board, his leg bleeding profusely. Working together with a sense of urgency born out of sheer desperation, they stabilized Jake on one of the boards and began the painstaking journey back to shore. Every stroke through the water was laden with fear and the heavy realization of how close they were to losing their friend. Once ashore, the gravity of Jake's injury became fully apparent. The bite was deep, and the loss of blood was significant. The group felt an overwhelming sense of helplessness with no immediate medical facilities on the secluded island and the nearest help hours away. Sarah, who had some basic first aid training, sprang into the challenge of getting Jake the medical attention he needed, as best as she could, trying to stem the bleeding until they could get professional help. The challenge of getting Jake the medical attention he needed was daunting. The island's isolation, a feature that had made their surfing trip so appealing, now became their biggest hurdle. The group knew they had to act fast with no cell service, and the only satellite phone back at their main camp on a neighboring island. Determined not to let their friend down, Max and another friend, Liam, decided to make the risky journey back to the main camp under cover of darkness, paddling vigorously across the open water with the hope of bringing back the satellite phone and calling for emergency assistance. Back at the beach, under the starlit sky, Sarah and the others stayed by Jake's side, offering words of comfort and doing their best to keep him awake and alert. The camaraderie and bond they shared as friends were now a lifeline, each drawing strength from the other in the face of adversity. Meanwhile, Max and Liam's paddle back to the main camp was a race against time, fueled by adrenaline and the urgent need to save their friend. Upon reaching the camp, they frantically searched for the satellite phone, their hands shaking as they dialed the emergency services, conveying the severity of the situation in hurried, anxious tones. The wait for help was agonizing. The group huddled together, keeping a vigilant watch over Jake, whose condition was stabilizing but still critical. The sound of a distant helicopter, the first sign of the rescue team's approach, was the sweetest sound they had ever heard. Relief washed over them in waves as the helicopter landed on the beach, its blades whipping the air, and trained medical personnel rushed to Jake's side. The rescue operation was swift and efficient. Jake was stabilized further and then airlifted to the nearest hospital, receiving the medical attention he desperately needed. The ordeal had brought the group closer together, their bond strengthened by the harrowing experience they had shared. In the following weeks, Jake's recovery became a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the strength of friendship. The surfing trip to the Mentawai Islands, envisioned as an adventure in paradise, had turned into a life-altering experience for each of them, a reminder of the unpredictability of nature and the preciousness of life. As Jake healed, the group made a pact to return to the waves, but with a newfound respect for the ocean and its inhabitants. Their story, a dramatic tale of survival, adventure, and the unbreakable bond of friendship, became a source of inspiration, a reminder that hope and the human spirit can prevail even in dire circumstances.